service announcement as I walk and talk. A brief public service announcement. All right, let's go with this. I think my last live was Thursday night going into Friday morning. No, that's not right. I did a live very early on Friday morning for me, like 2 something in the morning. And then I did another live about 8 something on my way to work, I'm pretty sure. And I just wanted to talk about a trend of what happens within a Big Brother season. Because this happens every season. You can plug and play the people, the story, the narrative, but it's always something that happens every year. At least every year since I've been covering this show. Good morning, Ed. People have people that they are strongly for within the season and strongly against. Some people literally watch Big Brother in a similar fashion to the way that they watch sports. And I know how sports fans are because I'm a sports fan myself. But I'm a sports fan that while I have my favorite team or my favorite teams, depending on the sport or whatever, sorry, lost my train of thought for a second. I didn't lose my train of thought, but I thought about something else. While I have my favorite team or teams, when I'm following whatever particular sport that is, I still have an appreciation and a respect for the whole league and all the different players that make that league, even on the teams that I don't like. Big Brother fans largely do not operate that way. I hate to keep saying this. I don't say this much lately, but in the beginning, it was something that almost made me stop covering Big Brother. The annoyance of the person or people that will just latch on to one particular person and then they don't have an appreciation for the gameplay. Everything just is revolving around whatever that one person is doing or not doing, because that's not the way that I watch the show. Even the people that I don't like and the people that I don't enjoy, I still kind of see what strategies they're implementing, and I'm like, okay, I can respect that. Or if somebody wins that I didn't like their gameplay at all, like Jag, for an example, I can be like, Jag's gameplay wasn't the best. I personally don't think that his gameplay was the best, but at the same time he won, so he must have done something right. And then I was able to examine and look at the things that he did and say to myself, all right, I wouldn't rank him way up there, but I can see that he did this, this, and this, and this, and therefore, good job. You got yourself your win by doing these things, even though a lot of the other winners, I think, were a lot more dominant and strategic. Keanu is a goof. Hi, Jacob. Now he wants Mickey out over Morgan. That would be... See, that would be crazy of him. The Mickey part and putting up Ashley part of it, I'm a mixed bag on how that would be for him. See, to look at it from his perspective of the game, I tend to feel like his original replacement Nam idea of Ava is better than Ashley, because he's not working with Ava and he's not necessarily working with Ashley either, but just because of Ashley being in this web with Will and who else? Will and Rachel. Rachel, really, you know, because that's Rachel's. I don't know if I want to say number one. Yeah, I guess Ashley is presently Rachel's number one. So that would potentially upset Rachel. And listen, Rachel has some power in that house. So I don't think that's a great move. And the second thing, let me see, wanting Mickey out over Morgan, that's crazy too, because then you are bringing both Morgan and Vince into jury. And the thing is, if Morgan and Vince get nominated by you this week, and they both come into the house, I mean, they both stay in the house, who's to say that if one of them wins HOH next week, that you're not a guarantee to go on the block, and you know everybody is going to take their shot if they actually get you on the block. If they actually get you to a vote, not get you on the block, because he has been on the block already several times. I don't know what goes through this man's head, you know. I have more respect for a Keanu than I would for a floater who's just kind of going where the wind blows and they're not really active in the game. But at the same time, I'm just like, I don't know what your approach is to this game. I don't know what your strategy is. I don't see the vision. Like, he's the type of person to set out to go on a journey, to go on like a trek. Like if I was driving from New York to Los Angeles or something like that, right? And I was making the trip on the road. And that's a long trip, in case you didn't know. All the way from the East Coast to the West Coast. It's like a 5.5 hour flight. So you could imagine the drive. So he'd be the type to like start the day and just eat some breakfast and then map it out that same day. He doesn't think about the traffic. He doesn't think about the amount of gas, the tolls, the potential for the car to break down, how much you could drive consecutively without stopping. Nothing. It's just like, I'm going to get in this car and I'm going to dominate this drive. And I'm going to get where I'm supposed to get to. And then I'm going to kick my feet up. And then I'm going to whatever. Like, he's thinking about the end. And he has the whole thing figured out real easily. Not accounting for any variables. In the Big Brother game, he's not accounting for people's free will. Like, for one thing, oh, well, if we this and this person goes together and this and that, and we do this and we form together and we do that. Like, things don't happen like that with 17 different people, 17 different minds, 17 different personalities. You know, it's a constant work in progress. In a typical season, you might have one or two very, very reliable people that you can rely on in the game from the beginning of that game to the end of that game. Everyone else is really variables. These 5 people alliances, these 6 people alliances, those kind of go where the wind blows for the most part. That's why things like the cookout are such a rarity, because people usually get broken apart. So that's the whole thing with something like the cookout. They are throwing away all this good furniture, man. That is rough. If I had a big van, think about these big companies. Yeah, Keanu does change his mind every week. He doesn't even change his mind every week. He changes his mind every day. Changes his mind every single day. Every single day. He could be like really hardcore about one idea, and then from there he could have a conversation with somebody else, and then he's hardcore on another idea. Makes my head spin. If Vince is still there on Thursday, he's gone. Yeah, for sure. I think that if Vince remains on the block, they will vote him out over either of the two ladies. I think Vince gets voted out by almost in every scenario. Well, let me think. Would Vince get voted out over Ashley? So Rachel is guaranteed for Ashley. Will is guaranteed for Ashley. Okay, so you need 4 votes. Okay, Morgan would go for Vince. Who else am I not thinking of? Okay. That's 2. I have 2 for Ashley. I don't know where Ava would go, because Ava didn't like Ashley. So that could be a second vote for Vince to stay. Lauren would definitely vote for Vince to stay. So that's 3 on the Lauren side. Who am I missing? Oh, if Ashley was there, that would mean Mickey is off the block. So that would be a third one, I think, for Ashley to stay. So that's 3-3. And who is... Oh, Kelly. So yeah, I could see that, if it was Ashley versus Vince, then we're in a little bit of iffy territory on who goes home. So I think if he was on the block, it would be best case scenario for him to be on the block next to Ashley. Because if he's next to Morgan, he goes home. Mickey, I'm a little bit unsure as well. Because at times, Mickey has been... There's been a couple of times now that the house was determined to vote out Mickey. But Mickey took herself off the block. So she's also somebody that I can't say... Like, I can't sit here and say that Mickey would for sure be the one who stays if she was next to Vince. But we gotta see who wins the veto. The other thing I was gonna say was, I was looking at this clip of Ashley, and Ashley was saying her most ideal scenario is for Vince to go home. And she said if Vince goes home, she would become Morgan's new number 1. I was thinking about that. Would she be Morgan's number 1? Who's Morgan's number 2 right now? I'm unsure, because I feel almost like Morgan has been so far up Vince's behind that she hasn't really had a number 2 in the house. But the thing that I do like about Ashley is that I actually see her map. Because at first I was like, Ashley is just all over the place and just saying all this random stuff. But she's not really... I don't know really what she's doing in the game. But then as I looked at who she said, like, oh, I would be close to this person. And then she's like, I could scoop up Lauren. because that's also Lauren's number one. I was like, that is so smart, because Vince is at the head of that snake. So Vince has Lauren and Morgan wrapped around his finger. Lauren and Morgan are kind of defaulted together. They're not really a duo. They're just kind of defaulted together because they're both like very connected to the same guy, as they were when Zach was in there. So Ashley was like trying to work an angle for herself of, I scoop up Lauren and Morgan, because they're going to be missing them some Vince, which is like super smart. Then she's got Will locked as a final two, and she's got Rachel locked as a final two, and she said that for her would be her most ideal five, and that made a ton of sense to me. That was like the most logical thing that I have ever heard her say in all this time. But maybe I just haven't been paying enough attention. I have been paying attention, but now that she did the camera talks, I wish more people were doing that, because I really miss the camera talks, like the talks that people would do at the end of the night, where they would just talk to the camera and tell the camera their strategy. She started doing that, and from the time she started doing that, I'm like, yeah, I see that. I wish the rest of them were doing some of that. It's smart to get Vince out, because Rachel and Ashley can bring Morgan in. And the thing is, I already know Rachel is thinking of that, because tactical genius when it comes to gameplay. But Ashley, I got to give her some more credit than I thought originally. Lauren, I still think the exact same thing I thought of Lauren last week, the week before that, and the week before that. No change in what I think of almost anyone else. They all are what they are. They are who they are. People have been debating a little bit about Will, because they're like, if Will sits in a final two chair, because Will has been throwing stuff. Not to say that Will is going to be some top competitor anyways when it comes to the comps, but he has not wanted to win anything, and he's been throwing the comps. So let's say if Will were to get to the very end, Will was sitting next to, I don't know, like Will, imagine if it was like a Will Keanu final two or something random, right? And Keanu gets there with no social game and 6 or 7 or 8 comp wins. And then Will gets there with an impeccable social game and no comp wins, or like 2 comp wins or less, let's say. Who does the jury vote for in that case? At that point, I feel like it's kind of preference. Do you prefer the person who made more choices in the game in terms of, I don't know, I can't even say, because this is Keanu's first HOH. So winning Power Veto or winning BB Blockbuster isn't a choice, it's just winning a comp. So, but do you value the person who had the harder road to get there, the person who had to fight more, or do you value the person who found a way to stay under the radar? You never know. That's the thing about it being a jury-based game. Let me refresh real quick. That's the thing about it being a jury-based game. Like, we can sit here and say that this particular person played the best, and the jury could think something totally different. Like, for an example, BB Canada season 12. I want to say it was season 12. I want to say it was season 12. I don't remember if it was season 11 or 12. But I think that this was season 12. But it doesn't matter, neither here nor there. If any of you watched Big Brother Canada, it was a season that had what's his name? Anthony, Dougie, and I think her name is Victoria. I'm terrible with names and I forget names left and right. But I think it was Victoria and I know it was Dougie. And I remember Anthony played this game that to me was absolutely flawless, except for his choice of who he wanted to be in the final two with, because he won the last competition. And he had a choice between the two people that he wanted to be in the final two with him, and I think he picked the wrong one. But even with the person that he picked, I still felt that his game was significantly superior to the game that she played. I really felt that way. But the jury did not. So the jury can do anything. The jury can do anything. The jury can think anything. Would Kelly keep Vince? But the thing is, it depends on who Vince is sitting next to, because it might be like a lesser of two evils thing for her, because I know she's not happy with Vince, but if he's sitting next to Mickey, she might keep Vince. If she's sitting next to let's see, smart to get Vince out. I had a dream, action one veto. Jury management is a skill. I don't remember that lady's name. Forgive me. I don't remember that lady's name who finished in second. But I don't think she had great jury management. I think that the main issue that cost him the game was that I want to say it was an all-women's jury. Maybe there was a man or two in there, but I know it was predominantly a ladies' jury. And when he voted out, he didn't vote her out, but when Victoria got voted out, and I think it was on his HOH, if I'm not mistaken, she was furious about that. So bitter jury is also a thing, and I think that he definitely experienced that. And it's hard for me to say, like, I think he would have had a better chance. I don't know. Had Victoria gotten out by some other means, aside from him being behind that. But it's just a tough thing in general, because they were both going for each other. And even though, and the people who are in the jury matters as well. Not just jury management, like the people who are actually in the jury. So you got to plan all of that. Russell Hands. Like, I was already thinking about this particular jury, since the jury starts after this next eviction. And I'm thinking about the people there and who would vote for who in a final two chair. I was actually thinking about who would vote for Rachel if she made a final two chair. I tend to feel like Keanu actually would vote for her. I think that Will might vote for her. I think that Ashley might vote for her. I think that Ava might vote for her. I think that she would actually get majority votes, despite what everybody is saying. I kind of think that she might get majority votes if she actually made it to a final 2 chair. Tay ate that. Now, this is the thing. You weren't here for what I was saying earlier, but I was kind of talking about whether somebody like Will or even somebody like Ava gets to a final 2 chair and then they sit next to someone like Kelly or they sit next to someone like Keanu, who has won, a lot of comps. They've won a lot of comps between the two of them. Would people value the social game, or would they say you haven't done enough strategically? Because the thing with Will compared to somebody like Taylor had such a strong social pitch. The social pitch was not like, hey, I stayed under the radar. Because sometimes people stay under the radar just because people are like, I don't really fear anything that they can do in the game. Like, no offense, Big D. Or a bit like a Xavier, Big D, and Azza Final 3. The way how that man finessed that was brilliant. Like, by that point, you knew he was going to win the final HOH comp, most likely. And he did so in dominant fashion. And even if you didn't like him or the way he played the game, that would be one of the worst. People would probably want to quit watching Big Brother if anyone ever voted for Big D over Xavier. So that's, floating. Not floating, because he's not necessarily floating, but coasting is somewhat of a skill. But I wonder if he was sitting in the final 2 chair, like what kind of speech you'd make, because Taylor's speech was like a game breaker. It's like a game breaker. There are 6 scenarios this week. You love yourself some scenarios, Jacob. Mickey versus Vince. Mickey versus Morgan. Vince versus Morgan. Ashley versus Mickey. Ashley versus Vince. Ashley versus Morgan. What is that name of that Marvel character? I know Doctor Who. Is it Doctor Strange? Not Doctor Who. Doctor Strange goes through all the different scenarios. Rachel should be happy. Catherine is gone. Well, yeah, that's why she did it. Lauren, Ashley, Keanu, and Will. Lauren on record saying she will vote for Rachel to win, but not over Vince. I don't think she would vote for Rachel to win over Vince. I mean, I guess you never know, but you only need for Lauren, Ava, Will, and Keanu. Kelly is the only one who wouldn't vote for Rachel. Kelly, Keanu wins. They have the journey. Get Rachel out, Dr. Orpheus. We gotta see who wins veto. Rachel is like Chelsea for me right now. She should be targeted because she's but you know what? She should be targeted, yes. But at the same time, I was saying this on my last live, I think. Rachel getting taken out earlier would be a big notch on somebody's belt in terms of a boost for their chances to win in final two. Like, I took out Rachel Riley. While that is still going to be a factor later on down the road, now Rachel is going to be a factor in the jury house. And that's not good for everybody. Rachel being in the jury house. Because she's going to expose everything. And the people that she doesn't want people to vote for, she's going to have an influence on it. That's kind of why Victoria, Spicy V, that's what I was trying to think of. They called her Spicy V. That's kind of what the Spicy V situation was on Big Brother Canada, where she got in that jury house and she was like, I'm going to make sure Anthony does not take home this W. And I feel like she accomplished that mission big time. And I think that Rachel might go a long way to being able to accomplish that mission in the jury house. And then also you have to think about the people that she's aligned with. And it's like, it was like what I was saying about Keanu. Keanu taking her out this week could have been a big move before he aligned with her. I got out Rachel, but after aligning with her and making promises to her and stuff, then you take her out, then people could use it as a move against you. Took out his biggest ally, promised them this and this, so he's not trustworthy, like that kind of thing. Although they kind of do that more on Survivor than they do that on Big Brother. But if I was making a final two speech on Big Brother, I would definitely make sure to kind of throw people under the bus in a sense. And expose to people things that they said that they were going to do and didn't do, and promises that they made to people that they were aligned to and didn't fulfill. So but we still have a game left, so we'll see what changes. Rachel is an unlikely winner, and I think that that's part of what makes me gravitated towards her. Because you take a two-time winner, you put them on a two-time participant and a one-time winner, you put them on the show for that third time, and they're coming back 12, 13 years later, and people get rusty, number one, and then the new players are just like, I'm just very impressed with the way how she has worked her way into being a person that they are not instantly gunning for anymore. Because that was the talk of the town in the beginning. I don't care if you're Rachel Riley. We don't want her to win. We got to get her out. She turned a couple of her biggest threats into allies. She made all these waves by putting people on the block and then still convinced those people to do her bidding when they had the chance to return the favor. Like, it's she's done a lot in this game. I have Morgan winning the game. Bro, when it comes to you and your statistics, I'm absolutely shocked that you have Morgan winning the game. I'll be honest with you. Morgan and Keanu are two of the hardest people to predict anything about. Anything. I can't predict anything with those two. They change their mind more than they change their clothes. But hey, Morgan's one of my draft picks, so she gets it done. Good for me. convinced Vince, and Morgan convinced. The thing is, it's not even Morgan convincing Vince not to put up Rachel. It's Rachel convincing Morgan to work with her a week after. A week after she put Morgan and Vince on the block, she convinced Morgan to work with her, and then Morgan goes hardcore to convince Rachel, to convince Vince not to put up Rachel. Incredible. Morgan is like, I mean, Rachel was pulling all those puppet strings. And now with Morgan on the block this week, now she's been telling Vince, like, man, Rachel really got us with that one. Morgan's game is very strategic. Like I said, she's active. She's very active. I love active players, but very strategic, I have to disagree. Convinced Keanu to switch targets. She's on the block right now. And Vince is on the block right now. And they have been so for the last 2 weeks. Well, not the last 2 weeks. I think 2 of the last 3 weeks. Well, it's the second time they've both been on the block. I think what you just used, that last example you just used, is proof to what I'm saying. Convinced him to switch. I don't even remember that, but if that did happen, she's on the block right now. On Keanu's HOH. You know how Keanu plays this game? He plays this game like... I was trying to remember this game for the longest, and I still don't remember it. But it was this board game, I think, under the Morgan Mist. Fair enough. I didn't know there was a Morgan Mist. There was this board game about expanding your territory and like gaining territory on the board. I mean, I know that you're probably going to think of Monopoly or something, but it was another game. It was more like some kind of war game where you're trying to end the game by taking over the territory or whatever. I feel like that's the way that Keanu views the game. I think that's the game that Keanu always feels like they're playing. He's playing a different type of game. He's playing a game that does not take into account social aspects whatsoever. It's like, you know what? He's a personal trainer. And I think that factors into the way that he plays the game. Because, like, convincing somebody to sign up for a personal training package is totally different than the types of things that you're doing in Big Brother. I mean, I'm sure that some aspects of that are useful, but you talk to somebody, you tell them about the things you could do, muscle gain, weight loss, you get their body composition, maybe you show them a few exercises, you tell them what you could do for their body, they sign a contract with you, and then bang, you get your money or whatever. He feels like you walk out of a conversation, you shake hands and you hug, and that means that the people that you told to do this and this are guaranteed to do the things that you told them to do. And it's not like that, because they're gonna think about what you're saying, and then they're going to go talk to this next person. They're going to go talk to this next person. And then from there, they're going to weigh what this one said and what that one said. And then they're going to have it. It's like continuously moving parts, and you're never ahead of it. You have to just stay active. Keep in motion. It's like musical chairs, you know? You don't win one round of musical chairs and then the game is over. You have to be prepared to get the next chair. I'm about to go, but I will be back on here later a couple times. Probably later, and Saturday is my errand day, so run a few errands. I might take the phone with me on the errands, and I'll for sure be back at all right. Rachel completely turned around that relationship with Morgan and then made Morgan work for her. That is not, to me, that is not a, what's her name? Morgan move. That's a Rachel move. Rachel is the originator of that. Top 5 power rankings. Let me read these real quick before I go. Rachel, Morgan, Ashley, Will, Vince. Rachel, Morgan, Ashley, Will, Vince. Put her on the block and said we'll never work together to being protected. I know, the Rachel mist in the house is crazy. And what's the other thing I was going to say? Oh yeah, you're allowed to like any player or any participant that you like. I don't have enough time to finish this thought, but I will get back to it for sure. I was addressing something from 2 lives ago on Friday. I'll start my next live with that. Hi, Tammy. And please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit the notification.